Hi folks, this is We the People and I'm Dave Gallus, your host. This week we're going to talk about school choice, but before I get to that, there's a lot of unrest in the cities around the nation, and you may notice that the cities that are out of control are democratically controlled. So, well, democratically controlled, that's a conflict in terms, I think, but I don't know if you're watching what's going on, and if you're watching CNN and MSNBC, you're not going to be getting the truth as to what's going on. So I would suggest you switch to OAN, One American News Network, or Newsmax to find out what's really going on. And Albuquerque's having a lot of problems. Now, Albuquerque's not that far away. And we are controlled in New Mexico, in Doña Ana County, in Las Cruces by Democrats. So you might want to keep an eye on that. And I wouldn't count on the police for protection because they're under fire themselves. So, okay, let's get off that subject and get back to the topic of today is school choice. My Democratic opponent, who is the incumbent, Bill Soules, he wrote an opinion piece in the Sun News this past Wednesday, the 17th. And he wrote about his desire to protect the funding he secured for Anna Age 8 Institute. Now, Anna Age 8 has been begun because of a book that's titled 100% Community. And it's to keep the children safe from trauma. 2 legislation sessions ago, Bill Soules got $590,000 for this project. And now he wants to spend $6 million. Now, the $590,000 went to a northern New Mexico college in Espanola. Now he wants to expand that and spend $6 million at NMSU, New Mexico State University, to expand the original program. This is his priority during the special session where we're supposed to be fixing the shortfall, the financial shortfall that we have. Now, according to Mr. Soules, this is his priority. But he's the top legislator in the state. He's the top dog in legislation when it comes to education in the state. And he's been that for his full term in office. He was the vice chairman, now the chairman of the Senate Education Committee. And New Mexico is the worst state in the nation when it comes to pre-K through 12th grade. I would think his priority should be education. Now, he may say that this Anna Age 8 initiative will be to help children so they can get to school, so they can be safe in school, so they can be safe at home. But don't we have child protection services for that? So I think his priorities are a little messed up. So he wants to spend $6.5 million of your money and my money to protect your children in early childhood trauma. And that would better ensure our education system, maybe. But it doesn't sound like he trusts you to take care of your own children. Now, there are some children that do need to be taken care of. I mean, as far as childhood trauma. Hey, I went to Catholic school in Philadelphia for my full 8 years in grade school and then 4 years in high school. I know what trauma is about. The nuns would think nothing of backhanding you, flattening you, and you couldn't go home and tell your parents about it because then you'd take another beating. So I know about childhood trauma. I just wondered, is this overblown? It almost feels like our government wants to control our children from birth all the way through to, I don't know, when they're not voting anymore, maybe? So it tells me a lot about the Democratic Party. And to me, it's all about control. They don't trust you to make decisions about education, about your children's health. I think the priorities are misfocused. And I would say, okay, our education system as it is, like I said, we're worst in the nation, 50th out of 50 states in the nation in pre-K through 12th grade. And I did some fact checking. I found out that how much is spent and where we're ranked. And I used the 2 states around us, Texas and Arizona. Texas is ranked 33rd. And it spends $9,016 per student per year. Arizona is ranked 44th, and they spend $7,613 per student per year. New Mexico, us, last place, 50th out of 50, spends $9,693 per student per year. So we are the worst, and we're 50th ranked, Arizona's 44, Texas 33. So we spend $677 more dollars per student per year than Texas, and we spend $2,080 more per student per year than Arizona. And we have 340,365 students in pre-K through 12th grade here in New Mexico. So we're spending, get this, more than $230 million per year more than Texas on education, and we're spending $807 million more than Arizona in education. This is your money, folks, and it's my money too. It doesn't seem like it's well spent, and they're talking about throwing more money at it, but we're at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to producing educated children. And that's just compiling state to state. I mean, there's alternatives to public education, but I don't think the government as it is wants to let you know that. We'll take a school that's local, Mesilla Valley Christian School. And that's in Doñana County in New Mexico. I found out that their cost per student per year is $5,000. Now remember, we're spending $9,693 per student. A private school is spending $5,000 per student. That's almost half. It's almost exactly half of what we're spending, our government's spending for the education of our children, and we're worse than the nation. So I asked the principal, who's John Foreman, John, how is it that you can run your school for half of what it costs compared to the government-run schools? You would think the more students you have, the cheaper the price would be. John says, we run it like a business. If I don't produce a good product, being our kids are educated, they can go on to find jobs, successful adults. He says, if I don't produce that good product at a fair price, we're out of business. So John knows how to handle money. Obviously, our government does not. So now that's the free market enterprise system, folks. Now the free market enterprise system, first off, I believe that the government schools in the nation, as well as New Mexico, it's a monopoly. And a monopoly is when there is no competition to speak of. Now, yeah, there's Mesilla Valley Christian School, but I'll get to that. But the monopoly is you don't have competition. So there's no incentive for you to be better, put out a better product, in this case education, at a cheaper price. So if you don't have that competition, you're stuck with what there is. Now I think about a family that has extra money. Now my dad was a city fireman. He didn't have much money. He'd work 2 and 3 jobs sometimes to spend the extra money to send me to Catholic school because he knew it was a better education. But why should my father and why should anybody now have to spend extra money when they're already spending money to pay for the public school system that's obviously a failure? That's bad enough. But how about the poor people that can't afford that extra money, or they can't afford the time to work an extra job? Maybe they have more kids at home, whatever. The thing is, why shouldn't a poor person have the same opportunity as a person that has money? And again, it's not fair for the rich person because they're spending extra money they don't have to. I've talked to many people that have had to take a job just so they can put their children in private school to give them a better choice. So it's not working. And you know, not only that, but the one thing Mesilla Valley Christian School has to pay for, on top of the education, the teachers, they have to pay for the mortgage on the property and the buildings. They have to pay for the pensions of the teachers. So if you add that to public schools, it would add another $12,000 to $14,000 to the already outrageous price of $9,639 per student per year. So it's not working, folks. And don't let the government let you think that they know how to educate your children better than you do. Because I think if you spend time finding out what's being taught at those schools, you don't have civics. You don't have phonics. There's a way to teach a child how to read. The way I learned was with phonics. And what that is you can break a word up into syllables, and you can master just about any word, and your spelling turns out right. But what they're doing now, from what I understand, is they're teaching children to see a word and memorize that word. Well, you don't have the versatility to understand new words. If you do with phonics, you do understand it. There's a new math. And the math, when my son was going to school in the public school system, he would come home. My daughters went to a Catholic school, so I wasn't worried about them. I spent the extra money for them to go to Catholic school. They got a good education. My son, who came 20 years later, he's in the public school system now. In New Jersey, this was. And when he would come home and I would try to help him with homework, I would hurt him by doing that because I didn't understand the system that he was learning about math. I said, Jason, I can't help you. I said, because every time I helped him, his grades would go down because he wasn't doing it the way they wanted him to do it. Oh, we came up with the same answer. Mine was always right, but they had a different way of teaching him. So don't get the idea that the government knows how to teach better than your common sense would lend you to believe. So I backed off when Jason was going to school because I didn't want to interfere with his education, hoping that the government knew better than I did about how to educate my son. My son didn't get the good education that my daughters did. Hands down, I know that, without a doubt. And I'll bet you if you compare, talk to people that have had the comparisons, and they'll let you know the same thing. So what I see is that the government doesn't respect you enough as parents, as citizens, to know that you know what you want your children to be taught, and they think they're better stewards of your money. Now, obviously they're wrong in both cases. So there is choices. I suggest you go to a website called EdChoice, and I think it can come up on the screen here. EdChoice.org, EdChoice. And if you go there, you'll find out that there are 61 school choice programs that were passed into law in 30 states and the District of Columbia. These are projects that they're finding out how school choice works, what's the alternatives, what's working, what's not working. The glaring point is that New Mexico does not have a program. So all these other states, now there's 30 states involved in this, they're trying to find a better solution to the public education system. New Mexico is not. And you got to wonder, why is that? Because, like I said, the Democratic legislature does not want competition in the school system. Now, there was a study done, I think it was Ronald Reagan asked for a study to be done, and I think the study was called Nation in Crisis. So this Nation in Crisis actually did research on why our schools are failing. So we'll get into Nation in Crisis in a little bit, but we're going to take a break for some commercials. So stay tuned, folks. Come on back. We're going to find out why the school system is failing and what we can do about it. See you in a short minute.
Horizon Granite is here. We'll come to you to customize your kitchen and bathroom with beautiful countertops and cabinets. Find out more at horizongranite.com. Call us at 575-650-3180.
Horizon Granite is here.
It's here.
Make yourself a beautiful home.
Hi, I'm Ray Bamberg with Here on Earth. I would like to invite you for a free hearing evaluation to our office. We've been here in southern New Mexico for 34 years helping people hear better.
churches and freed countries. They've raised our flag and our hope. They've been called leathernecks. They've been called devil dogs. But above all, they're called Marines.
Hi folks, welcome back. This is We the People with Dave Gallus. I'm your host. We're talking about school choice. We did brush on a little bit about what was going on around the nation as far as the unrest in the cities with the Black Lives Matter and the Antifa movements. It doesn't seem like some of the cities have control of their citizens, and it seems like they want to blame it on the police. So now they're talking about taking police out of these cities. I was a cop for 25 years in Philadelphia and worked North Philly, rough neighborhood. I can't imagine what it would be like if you took the police out of that situation. And these cities that are under siege, I think it's Minneapolis, Seattle it is. Seattle's under siege. And you know, the victim that was killed at the hands of the police is a sad, sad story. But we haven't even let it play out in the courts yet to see what the truth is. Where will justice be served? And I certainly hope it is. But this unrest in the cities, this is more than a grassroots operation. This is a well-funded anarchist movement to take over cities. And now they want to get rid of police? Well, I would suggest anybody that thinks that is a good idea, then pull the police out. Let the social workers take over the policing job and see what happens. I think you're going to have a lot of dead social workers. So I would say don't trust the news media, CNN, MSNBC, the other major news medias. If you want to find out what's going on, you're going to get opinion from Fox News, but you'll get truth as well. You'll get news. If you want real news with very little opinion, you go to One American News Network, OANN, or you go to Newsmax. You'll get very little opinion. So you really need to find out what the truth is, because Albuquerque isn't that far away, and they're having a lot of problems in Albuquerque. Shootings that are going on. It's not pretty, and it's not far away. And we have a democratically controlled state, county, city. So you better be careful. Don't count on the police, because they're under siege already. I wouldn't doubt it if the police have this major sick out just to show the citizens of the nation how important they are and how much they're needed. But they probably won't, because they're dedicated. So, okay, we're going to get back to school choice. I was talking about a study that was done during Ronald Reagan's era. And what came out of that was a pamphlet you might want to look up. And it's called The Nation in Crisis. And really, basically what they said in that whole study was that the school teachers union had tremendous control over the whole direction of the education system. Very powerful. Now, if you think about it, any union, any organization that has a lot of money can fund the people that they want to be in office. Now, I believe my opponent started off his first term with $60-some thousand in his campaign. I can't even imagine raising that kind of money. But the second time he ran, he had over $260,000. And from what I understand, a lot of it came from unions, school teachers union included. So you got to wonder, they want to control the candidate, and they want to control the narrative when it comes to education, legislation for education. We know that our public school system in New Mexico is not working. We're the worst in the nation. So you got to say, okay, you got a lot of money behind a candidate. What do they want for that money? They want something. Common sense tells me that they want to control the candidate and control education. And so basically, I'm thinking the unions are telling you that we're going to take care of your children. What are they teaching your children? Education is supposed to teach a child how to think. Not what to think, how to think. If you teach a child how to think, they can solve just about any problem at all because they have that thought process. But if you indoctrinate a child as to what to think, they are totally focused in one direction. Their ideology is in one direction. I went to New Mexico State University when I first came to New Mexico about 7 years ago to live permanently. And I realized that we are not following our Constitution, because that's the course I took, U.S. Constitution. I only lasted about 6 weeks because my professor was very biased. He was talking about oppression. He was talking about slavery, which it's part of our history, no doubt about it. But it's almost as if this reparation idea, this idea of focusing on slavery, the 1619 Project, when slaves were first brought to America. And now I've heard, who did I hear saying that, I forget who it was, but he said that USO, Tim Kaine, the former candidate for vice president with Hillary Clinton, he said America created slavery. Obviously he doesn't read the Bible, probably not a Christian. Slavery began at the beginning of time, and slavery was a form of paying off a debt. A person would have to spend a portion of their life to pay off a debt, or during war times, the battle would be fought. Whoever lost the battle would become the slaves of the winners of the battle. So slavery is as old as time. And you know, when people say, oh, we have this black mark on our souls because of it. I never owned a slave. My father never owned a slave. My grandfather, my great-grandfather never owned a slave. So reparations? Pay reparations to people that were never slaves? It doesn't make sense. What I see is the Democratic Party, that used to be a reasonable party, is now being taken over by progressive socialists. Their whole point is to divide. Divide and control. If they can pit us against each other, whether it's through differences of sex, transgenderism, they're different than we are. If they're trying to divide us through our race or our money, the rich versus poor, it's always about creating an enemy that they can divide us. I'm a Republican running for New Mexico State Senate District 37, and I believe in inclusivity. I believe in unity. I believe in everybody's part of the game here. Well, it's not a game. It's a very important process. Everybody has a say. Everybody has the freedom to choose, in this case, our education system. The one thing that you can do, you have the power to change whatever you see as wrong. And you do that through your vote. Your vote is your voice. You must be registered to vote. So please register to vote. And if you have a problem finding out how to register, contact me. My phone number, my email address is on the screen. I'll be glad to help you. I'll be glad to direct you. I would say that the best way to do it is go to the county building in person, and they will give you a voter registration card. It'll have a barcode. It'll have all your information, what district you're in, what all the different people that you would vote for in that district. Well, they won't give you the names of who you'd vote for, but they'd tell you what school district you're in, what congressional district you're in, what state senate, what state representative district you're in, water and soil, I believe it is. So you'll have all the information, and that's your document that says you can legally vote. Take that with you to the poll and show it to them. Then nobody is corrupting your vote, and the best way to make sure your vote counts and counts correctly is vote in person. Now, everybody that's listening to me may be registered, maybe vote all the time, but you'll have friends, family, co-workers, neighbors that may not be registered, may not be aware of how to register or the voting process. We just finished up a primary. Now we're going to the general election in November, which I'll be on the ballot opposing Bill Soules in Senate District 37. So this is your choice, and it's all about choices, and it's all about freedom. your freedom to choose the people that you elect to office. You can choose, I hope in the future, put me in there and I'll work my tail off to get school choice. In that case, and if you have enough like-minded legislators that are really concerned about your children's education, we will pass legislation that will give you that choice. We respect you by giving you the choice. I don't want anybody to handle my money. I want to handle my money. Imagine if you had that almost $10,000 that it cost for a student to go to school, and the government gave you back that $10,000. It's the wrong way to go about it. The best way to do is keep your money, tell the government to pound sand, you'll spend your money where you want to. But as it is now, you have to pay in taxes. We have the permanent funds that fund schools. So all this money goes for education. But imagine if the government gave you $10,000 and said, okay, you can go to any school you want. And these schools are qualified. They would have to be tested. Fair enough. But a parent's going to want to get the best education for their child. Best bang for their buck. We know that Mesilla Valley Christian School only cost $5,000. So you would have an extra $5,000 to find an even better school than Mesilla Valley Christian School, which I doubt that you could find one. But that would be your money to spend, not the government spending it. So you got to understand that I want choices, you want choices. Don't let the government say that they're going to make a better decision about your children's education than you are. So I would say, again, go to that website, EdChoice, find out what the options can be, and then vote for the right legislators that care about your kids, not about government control. Okay, folks, that's it for today. I'll be back next week with another exciting adventure, and we will solve more problems in New Mexico. So, We the People with Dave Gallus, I'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in.